welcome to the My WHIM Life show, where we use wisdom, humor, inspiration, and motivation to help you truly live your one unique life. Today, we're going to talk about the first of the 9 pillars that I use as guiding posts in my life. That pillar is family. Family is such a personal word. It's really individual to each and every person. For some, it's identified as the people you are brought into this world by blood. For others, blood has absolutely nothing to do with who you call family. And for some, it's defined by yourself and your fur babies. I definitely identify with that as well. So keep your version of family firmly in your mind, as that is exactly who we're going to be focusing on today. For me, this process has really been pushed to the forefront of my mind with the recent passing of my mother. As I look back on days past, I know that many of the intentional interactions that I made a priority were connection time with her. We lost Dad less than 2 years ago. Mom was really lonely, and I tried to do my best to make sure that at least once or twice a week we went to lunch or dinner, or I picked her up to grab a coffee. I let her tag along when I was running errands. Whatever the case may be, I can look back on my reflection, and I know that many of those moments of intention surrounded her. And for that, I honestly could not be more grateful. In case you didn't see the evening routine episode, or as a refresher, each evening I go through a process of reflection on my day. Jim Rohn said, create time for reflection, a time to go back over, to study again the things you've learned and the things you've done each day. He really did expand on this idea and talked of taking not only that time each day, but a few hours at the end of each week, half a day at the end of each month, and a weekend at the end of each year. So this has really become an integral part of my life philosophy. While I certainly don't always follow this exactly, I definitely make time for reflection, and it has truly, truly, truly changed my life in more ways than I can count. So now that you know the why about my reflection process about family, the next question is often, what does that look like in practice? So it's much more of a thought process than a actual physical action for me, but that definitely wasn't always the case. When I started doing reflections, I wrote everything down. It was originally really kind of an extension of my journaling practice, and I would absolutely encourage you to try that if you like the process of writing things down like I do. It really helped me to hone in on what I wanted to reflect on and how I set up the parameters of what would eventually be the process that I go through today. I think this is a really good time to say that this process is it's a living process. It ebbs and it flows and it changes and it evolves. It's not straightforward. It's not stagnant in any way. And what works for me today may, and I can almost guarantee, will absolutely change over time as I change personally, as my priorities and philosophies change. I just really encourage you to allow it to be fluid, not rigid, as you step into this process of reflection. So when I go into my daily reflection, I think about that particular pillar. For right now, what we're talking about is family and what that truly means to me. The most important key in my current process is intention. Not just if I engaged with my family, but was I intentionally present with my family? I often close my eyes and think about each individual member of my family for just a moment. I'm almost never intentionally present with every single member of my family every single day. I'm sorry, but let's just be real. That would just be emotionally exhausting. We just only have so much capacity as human beings. But my ultimate goal is to make sure that I was intentionally present with at least one person in my family each and every day. Just one. I want to make an opportunity that I created or took action to really listen to or see the whole person. That could be listening to them telling me about their day without being distracted by the dogs or my phone or anything else that may be going around us. It could be sitting down to lunch or dinner, just the two of us. It could even just be a phone call without an agenda outside of letting them know that I love them. So just those simple, very intentional moments. It doesn't have to be gifts or expensive or anything like that. So going through that reflection process does two things for me. First, it allows me to make sure I'm on the right track with the goal that I've set for myself. But it also allows me to experience those treasured moments again, putting a smile in my heart at the end of the day. Voila, it's like instant happy emotion hit. And who doesn't need more of that in their life? It's so good. So how do I record this goodness? I use a simple stoplight system. I take a piece of graph paper that I map out a quarter of the year at a time so that I don't have to recreate that too often, because that has the potential of really halting my progress if I've got to create something new. I want this to be easy, right? Each day on that graph paper has its own box on the sheet in columns. Family has its own row. So I look up family on the left and the date at the top, and I match those up. If I know I met my goal of being intentional with at least one family member that day, then I get to color it green. If I ended up getting that quality time, but it was more happenstance than intentionally driven, I color it in yellow. And if I didn't get that time, and I know is so valuable to both myself and my family members, then I mark it in hot pink. So some might want to use red, that's the traditional stoplight, but I just really don't like the color red. It tends to feel very negative to me. I don't ever want this process to feel like it's a bad thing. It's just an opportunity to see where you're at with your intentions. I promise you, you end up with a few pink boxes in a row, and you will start to look for those opportunities to be intentional. You'll be right back in the green before you know it, and without really putting in too much effort to do so. It's surprisingly simple to just make a conscious decision to be intentional. All it requires is that you have the desire to make that time intentional, and you'll find it. I promise. You can make this as simple or as full as you choose. It could simply be coloring in boxes like it is for me now, or it could take on full journal form like it used to be for me, or you can find some type of system in between that works best for you. What it looks like is really 100% completely up to you. What I will say is just begin. Take the opportunity and the time to reflect on what you have done during the day intentionally with those you love the most in your family. You will thank yourself for it in the days, weeks, and months and years to come. Thank you so much for sharing this little bit of time with me, and I hope this dose of WHIM helps you go after what you dream of in your one unique life. Until next time, remember to share the goodness. Thank you so much for tuning in to the My WHIM Life Show today. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a moment of the goodness.